Alright, today we're going to install the IAG AOS Street Series on the 2016 WRX. Already removed some things that you're going to have to remove ahead of time. Your intercooler. We have a front mount on this car already. You'll have to remove EGR pipe down in this location. We've already done the delete, so you have to do that. We'll remove the intake shroud. Just pop the clips, easy. Pull that out of the way. That'll give us access to this passenger side radiator fan. Take out the passenger side radiator fan, two 10mm bolts, and a harness clip down there. Alright, we're going to move the breather hose. This is on the driver's side. Forgot to mention you want to remove the retaining clips, and this will pull out a lot easier for you. Okay, so the other end of that breather pipe, you'll need to pull out from your charge pipe side. Your blow-off valves set right up here if you're stock. That breather tube ends up here. Obviously, mine's already disconnected. Okay, so we removed the breather hose. You've removed your EGR pipe. Give us access to the PCV valve, which is right there. We'll remove that with a 19mm socket. Go ahead and clean up that fitting to the block there, and we'll insert the supplied adapter, hose adapter, and the 90 to the hose we took off. Here we are torquing the PCV valve adapter to 15 foot-pounds to the block. Install that fitting on the PCV hose. Okay, we've moved to the ECU relocate. First thing we're going to do, pop out the clips on these harnesses here. Just just underneath. You can't see it in the camera view, but you can see it easily. There's one here and one right back here. There's 5 total. And we'll go ahead and remove the nuts holding the ECU to the bracket, 10 millimeter. Next, we're going to remove the ECU bracket. There's one more clip to undo from it. Remove from vehicle. Okay, we're going to relocate the ground wire real quick to the lower hole underneath it. There's a plastic filler plate inside of it. You just pull that out. 10 millimeter. We have to remove its clip. Now we've installed the relocate bracket with the OEM bolts. Go ahead and reattach the ECU to the relocate bracket with the supplied bolts and the OEM hardware that you originally took off. The instructions say go ahead and take this bracket off as well, off the ECU. Used to be the wire harness retainer. Gonna remove this bracket here that's holding these 2 harness clips right here. 19mm nuts. I've already broken them loose. You'll take these wires and tuck them down low to make room for the AOS. Then you'll want to gently pull these brake lines up a little bit. Doesn't take much to move them. And then there's 3 in the back here. That you just need to push back some. Then that gives us room to attach the AOS bracket here. All right, now we're going to install some coolant hoses on the AOS. These are your coolant lines. There's 2 of them. They have this fitting here. The shorter one goes on the bottom, which is here. Longer one goes on the top. So you also want to locate this hose that has this coupler here. And go ahead and insert it on the top of the can here. You also want to go ahead and install the bracket using the Allen bolts. 2 up from the bottom. And it's ready to get into the car. So you can go ahead and mount the can, the AOS with the bracket to the holes where the old wiring harness bracket was, using the OEM bolts. Trying to make sure your hoses so far are looking good, your harnesses are tucked in out of the way, nothing's pinching, you have plenty of clearance. Everything here looks pretty good. Nice. All right, so I've gone ahead and loosely installed these hoses. I'm not going to pull them out just to show you guys. I'll just kind of briefly go over where they did end up. That hose we installed up here, that threaded in with this piece. You'll wrap it around and it will attach to that supplied 90 that we first attached early on. Kind of just aim it that way. Next you have that wishbone pipe hose set. Had the 2 hoses on it with the short 90. With that short 90 down there. On top of the PCV valve where we replaced it with a new adapter. you want to make sure that it's kind of vertical in its orientation, and it will set then right on that valve real easy. You'll of course feed that shorter hose through that bracket, and then it will attach to the lower port on the bottom of the AOS. Second hose on that hose set, the longer one, will attach to the center port there. The next hose, the Y hose, the shorter of the two hits the middle port, longer the outside port. Wrap it underneath the wiring harness. That'll connect to the breather port on your turbo inlet. This coolant hose, we just kind of relocated, turned it up, and routed it underneath these hoses. You know, we had to clamp this down. It did leak some fluid, not much. And then this hose also routes down here, and it will connect to the turbo that I don't have installed at the moment. Your breather would go there on your turbo inlet. So the last hose, the longest hose, you want to route it underneath the manifold. Leave a loop up here. All right. You need to attach it way down there. And it's a lot easier to maneuver that onto that fitting with some slack up here. Once you do get it attached and your clamp attached or zip tie, I used a hose clamp, just push it back through. Just like that. Wrap it around. Up like that, and it'll attach to the top port there. Here's how the routing of the hoses for the AOS ended up. Not too bad.